Internal security is as critical for statements as external security. Internal security is ensured through law enforcement. In countries where public order cannot be maintained, internal threats can drag the country into chaos. Political power holders should encourage the police to enforce the law. Crises can arise if the self-interest of political power holders override the law. It is a known fact that countries often experience public order problems, especially in times of war. Both political opposition and the depression caused by the war play a role in these problems. If those in power use the law enforcement agencies to use violence against the people, tensions increase. Therefore, in such situations, the political power mechanisms need to react calmly. Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine was followed by public order problems. The growing social oppositions in Russia has created many crises for the Kremlin to resolve. The Moscow government has tried to resolve the crisis with harsh measures. Rather than solving the crisis, Moscow's authoritarian measures exacerbated them. Moscow's directives are directed through the police force. This has led to growing dissatisfaction among the police. Police officers who do not want to confront the Russian people who are the victims of Russia's war policy prefer to resign. In recent days, the increasing number of police resignation has come to the agenda as an issue that has attracted attention. Now, if you're ready, let's examine the police resignation in Russia together. In a statement made by Russian officials, it was stated that Russia is facing a critical shortage of police officers. It was announced that 5,000 law enforcement officers resigned last July alone. Russian Interior Minister Vladimir Kolokoltsev said in a meeting that a personnel shortage is increasing. Speaking at the Interior Ministry meeting, Minister Kolokoltsev stated that the resignation of 5,000 personnel from the internal affairs institutions last month was a very difficult situation. According to a decree signed by Russian President Vladimir Putin in December 2022, the number of police officers in Russia should reach 938,000 by 2025. According to the published legislation, there should be 922,000 police officers in 2023. There are many units among the law enforcement agencies under the Russian Interior Ministry. The Russian Police, Migration Affairs, Drug Control, Traffic Safety, Anti-Extremism Center, and Investigate Department are known as the most common of these units. According to experts, the ratio of police officers to citizens in Russia is among the highest in the world. Russian Interior Ministry Vladimir Kolokoltsev refrains from giving detailed information about the increasing number of resignations in recent days. However, information from local sources suggests that they are a result of increasing political pressure on Moscow's authoritarian policies. Russia has started to experience labor shortage in many areas following its invasion of Ukraine. A report published by the Central Bank of Russia confirmed these shortages. It was stated that Russia is experiencing the biggest labor shortage since 1998, affecting especially the manufacturing, industry, mining, and transportation sectors. The main reason for the labor shortage is known as war. While hundreds of thousands of Russians were conscripted into the Russian army to fight, tens of thousands of others fled to neighboring countries to avoid conscription. For this reason, a labor shortage occurred and economic activities were disrupted. At a meeting of the Russian Interior Ministry, Minister Kolokoltsev instructed employees to minimize the risk arising from the shortage of personnel. Russian Interior Minister Vladimir Kolokoltsev stated that he understands that the workload is high due to staff shortage, but he trusts the skills of the staff. The Russian Interior Ministry stated that they will apply the principle of excessive force through skill, not numbers, to solve the personnel crisis. He also advised the ministries of staff to protect themselves morally and psychologically. The emergence of a new crisis in Russia every day indicates that some indicators are working against Russia. Russia's failure on the front line naturally affects the political environment as well. It is observed that the opposition to Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation, is growing. The growing opposition is trying to show its reaction in both political and social sphere. However, the increasing burden of the war conditions caused the people to increase great anxiety. For this reason, the number of people fleeing the country is increasing day by day. One of the harsh criticisms of Russian President Vladimir Putin has attracted great attention in recent days. Russian billionaire Arkady Volozh has issued a scathing statement condemning Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine. Arkady Volozh declared his opposition to Russia's barbaric invasion of Ukraine. He expressed his horror at the situation facing many of his friends and relatives in Ukraine. Arkady Volozh, a Russian billionaire now living in Israel, resigned from his Russian company due to EU sanctions. Arkady Volozh says that after the full-scale occupation of Ukraine began in February 2022, he focused on supporting talented Russian engineers who decided to leave Russia to start a new life abroad. Although he has not lived in Russia since 2014, he says that he shares responsibility for Russia's actions and is trying to fight back. Volozh said that there are many reasons for his long silence and that he understands criticisms, but he said that he does not accept criticisms about the essence of his statements and that he is against the war. The collapse of the Russian economy in recent days has been another point of criticisms. Vladimir Solovyov, known to be close to the Kremlin, reacted against the Russian central bank in his statements. In recent days, the Russian ruble has reached its lowest level in the last 16 months. Depending the economic crisis in Russia, due to the ruble level reaching 100 per dollar, the Russian central bank announced that it would stop foreign currency purchases in the domestic market for the rest of the year. Upon these announcements of the Central Bank of Russia, Vladimir Solovyov expressed his criticisms with harsh words. He blamed the Bank of Russia for this situation that alarmed the whole country and made Russia a subject of ridicule abroad. Stating that the Russian ruble is one of the 3 weakest currencies, Solovyov described the central bank, which did not make statements about this situation, as bloody. He added that the policies of the Central Bank of Russia belittle the people and that the authorities do not know what are they doing. Russia's economy collapsed after the invasion of Ukraine. The sanctions imposed against Russia were instrumental in this collapse. Russia was kicked out of the SWIFT global banking system and Western countries denied Russia access to some of its foreign reserves. Europe also froze purchases of Russian oil and gas, and in December 2022, the G7 agreed on a price cap on Russian crude oil and refined oil products, putting further pressure on the ruble. All these sanctions and the economic cost of the war has been the Russian economy in a difficult situation. Efforts by Russian authorities to recover are unlikely to be lasting. The increase in the criticism against the Moscow administration in recent days is expected to lead to a new opposition movement in Russia. According to information obtained from local sources, violent incidents, especially due to the military recruitments, may grow again. The gradual weakening of economic power and the strain on the population may turn into a new spiral of violence. The increases in police resignation and the growing opposition among the police in Russia may also lead to an increase in public order problems. These emerging possibilities may force the Kremlin to deal with both internal and external problems. What do you think is the reason for the increasing number of police resignations in Russia? What do you think about the police resignations in Russia? Do you think Russia will find solution to the public order problems in the faces? What do you think about the statements of the Russian billionaire? How do you think the decisions of Russian central bank can be evaluated? We care about your opinions. Please share them with us.